Welcome to the Love Kanique podcast. My name is Kanika,
My name is Vanita.
and we are back for another show.
Mm. Happy Wednesday to you guys.
Oh my
Hump day.
goodness.
Whoop whoop.
I know it seems like it be coming fast to me. Don't come fast to you?
A little bit sometimes it does seem to come kind of fast.
Yeah, I'll be like, it's Tuesday. Oh, I gotta do a show tomorrow. It seems like I just did it, but literally it was a week ago. But I don't know why it be seeming like it's coming fast. It be fast for me. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, welcome. I'm Kanika, and if you are new to our show, which you may be, because it's kind of new,
It
depending on
ain't
how you
kind we gotta change that because it ain't
kind
kind
of
of new no
new.
more, god dog
I
it.
was feeling like it's new. I don't know why we feel like it's new yet.
Oh my
It tells you
god.
how fast time goes, because it's really been
That's
four
true.
years since we've been
Mm-hmm.
doing the show, and 4 years went by so fast. But if you think about it, the year 2000, we in 2024, time is just flying. I
No,
guess that's
that's
why
true.
it still seems new. But if you are new, welcome. If you don't mind subscribing to the channel, because we're trying to grow the channel and grow the podcast, we would love any support you could give. Also, hit the notification bell because sometimes we do pop up shows. We do this show every Wednesday, usually at 6 o'clock, unless we have a panel. We start the show later to give everybody a chance to join, but sometimes we do pop-up shows, so you'll be notified if we decide to go live on a random day, if we have something to talk about. So how was your week?
It's been so. My sinuses have been acting up. I don't know. Our weather is like bipolar in a mug. I don't know
It
what's
is.
happening with our weather.
The weather is bipolar. I've been allergies. My allergies been acting up real bad.
Same
I
here.
haven't went to get no Aleve D that I know I need. Just
Okay.
sneeze in the night away, in the morning away. So I feel you on that.
Yeah. How are you besides that?
I'm okay. I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good. I am doing okay. And yeah,
That's what's
just trudging on through the work week to the
up.
weekend.
Same here.
I'm taking my nieces to the circus this weekend, so I'm trying to
Woo woo.
get for that.
Get your mind ready.
Yeah,
Get your mind
girl, I'm
ready.
trying to
Make
get it
sure you got a
right.
hold of them. Yeah.
Yes, and prepare.
Yes.
Which 8-year-olds, you know how that go. Four of them.
Yes. They're
Girls,
four of them too.
girls too.
Somebody going with you?
Yeah, my dad is going.
Okay, I was about to
Yeah,
say, listen, hand lock they need to keep their hands locked together with
yeah,
one
yeah,
another.
yeah.
Okay.
My dad and stepmom will be there, so
Okay, cool.
yeah, they'll help me. Although the girls are gonna spend the night with me. Sunday we're going to the circus, so
That should be a lot of fun
yeah,
for them. Can't
yeah,
wait to hear your feedback on that one. Okay.
girl, yeah, it'll be an interesting weekend.
Yes.
So tonight we're gonna talk about how your brain believes whatever you tell it.
Hmm.
And I wanted to talk about this because this is a subject that Vanita and I have talked about for years now. The stories that we tell ourselves that are frankly just not true, but for whatever reason, we can't stop playing them in our heads. We can't stop telling ourselves this. And unfortunately, what it's doing is it's keeping us trapped in a place where we don't want to be. It's stunting our
Exactly.
growth. It's keeping us from evolving. It's keeping us from creating the life that we want. It's keeping us from manifesting the money, the relationships, everything that your heart desired. The fact that whatever story you're telling yourself is aiding in your inability to create it, and that's on a personal scale, and that's on a cultural scale, and it's
Hmm.
on a collective scale. So
Yeah.
there are levels to this trapness that a lot of us are in. And Vanita and I, we often talk about it just on a, a, a level of individuality, and how some
Hmm.
of our own personal stories have kept us kind of not being able to move forward. Benita, can you just think about off the top of your head something that you used to tell yourself, all the time that now you know for a fact that's not true, and it's keeping me from basically creating the life that I want to create.
I used to think I wasn't smart
Really?
because when I was younger, yeah, when I was younger, early on in my elementary school years, I made D's and F's a lot. And I
Yeah.
didn't have no support system because in those years, you have to have a support system to teach you things.
Yeah.
So I really thought that I was not smart at all. And it went all the way into my adulthood. I remember times, and I'm sure you remember it, where I felt like I couldn't read, or if I would say a word, I'd be scared to say it because I wasn't sure if I knew how to pronounce it, or um, anything reading where like I didn't like to read out loud, any of those type of things.
Yeah.
So it was a feat and a battle to um, change that thought process.
Did that come from did that come from you looking at your grades and then judging yourself based on whatever grade that was? What was it, you stumbling over the words? What made you tell yourself, because of this, I must not be smart?
I think for me it was more so cousins really, and so I was raised with two of my cousins that I was raised real close with
Uh-huh.
a lot of the time, and the one that's closest to me, she's 4 years behind me. That young lady is smart as heck. So even as a kid, when I say she was reading, writing, she had to teach and tutor me on certain things. So I think it was a comparison of that, knowing that you're the older one, you should be teaching her these basic things instead of her teaching you these things. So I want to say some of it came from that. And then, in school, it's always a competition, a comparison,
It
even
is.
with the teachers is, you have the spelling bee contest and you have the reading contest and, math contest, all these different contests where the world has us competing with one another. So
Yes.
those that could not read as better as someone else or spell as better as someone else or even do math as well as somebody else, it I would perceive that it make more a lot of people feel less than. It definitely did for me,
Yeah.
feeling like they all had it under control, and I I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know
Yeah.
how to sound out my words, pronounce my words, figure it out. I wasn't really raised in not really, but I was not at all raised in a atmosphere in my household when I was younger with anyone that was reading. That wasn't pushed on me. And I think that that would have made a tremendous difference had that been introduced to me more, or, advised that I should some way, somehow, whatever the case may be on that. So I think a lot
Yeah.
of it came from that. And it just went from school all the way up to adulthood. Like it didn't go away. It didn't go away till after I had my daughter, real talk,
Yeah.
over the
It,
years.
it be rooted. These stories
It
be
really
rooted.
does. And people don't realize that when you have something that's rooted that deep, it plays all the way through whether or not you go interview. Are you because it's confidence in yourself. You're really selling yourself to the next person. But if you
Right.
perceive that you can't read or write well, or any kind of math, whatever the case may be for the job that you're applying for, it'll cause you not to think you can't get the job done. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, a lot of jobs feel like you got to have degrees. I didn't go into college and get no degree. I did certificates, but I didn't get a degree. So all those type of things play through. It makes you feel like you're less than.
It does. So what happens is you have this thought about yourself or about a thing, and we'll just use ourselves as the thing in question, and then you have a story about it, wherever the story came from. Usually these stories stem from our childhood and the environment in which we are raised. Because like I said, there's an individual story, there's a cultural story, and then there's a collective story. So on an individual level, like Vanita said, you get in school and you start to look around and compare. And you say comparison is the thief of joy or something like that. You
Yeah,
start to
that is what they say.
compare because that's what your ego does.
Hmm.
It compares itself to other things, people, places, whatever. And then for whatever reason, whatever you see or whatever you sense or whatever you perceive, whether it's the truth or not, you make a judgment on it, on whatever you're perceiving. Like Vanita said, she perceived, well, because I'm being tutored by my cousin who's a little younger, I must be not smart. So
Hmm.
that thought process, that story then takes root, right?
It does.
So what happens is because the brain believes whatever you tell it, your environment, your 3D world, your outer world starts to play back to you the very sentiment that you believe.
Hmm. It's true.
So what happens is now you start to call in experiences that reinforce the thought of I'm not smart. Open a book, you probably can read it just fine. But because you don't think you can read it just fine, you start to get nervous and you start stumbling over words.
That's exactly.
And
Hmm.
and then your ego is while you're trying to read is playing in the back of your mind. See, look at you. Look at you. See, I told you you weren't smart. You don't even know what that says. Da, da, da,
Yep. All the way down to you think everybody looking at you, laughing at you like she not even smart. All of that.
all of
Yep.
that. Your environment will play back to you the very thing that you believe. That's how it works. That's how the universe works. The universe reflects back to you exactly what you believe about yourself and everything around you. I kind of had a
It's true.
similar experience that Vanita had in school, but on a level of me being tall. I remember thinking that I wasn't pretty in school because I was so much taller than everybody else. So what reinforced this perception was when I looked around, the boys seemed to like the girls who were short, right? They didn't like, in my perception, the girls who were tall like me, right? They called me a giraffe for a long time because I was tall and thin, and that was like not good in school. That's how I perceived it based on, what I saw. So I took this thought of not being pretty. Uh, it was rooted in me for quite some time, and I remember, getting in high school thinking that being tall was the worst thing in the world, and then I would find reasons to solidify that thought. Oh, look at him. See, he likes the short girl with the this and the that, and that's not me. And I'll never be her, and I'll never be good. Now I'm a little young. You're in school, but
Hmm.
nonetheless, that thought of not being enough, whatever enough is, you can put it in, whether it's smart enough, pretty enough, or whatever. A lot of
Exactly.
that gets rooted in that type of environment. And as great of a mom and dad that I did have, they did the best that they could. They can only reinforce so much self-worth or self-esteem in me because they were dealing with what they were dealing with, and where they were, just spiritually, they're not thinking like that. They're not thinking, well, maybe I should, reinforce, this, that, being tall is okay. Being tall is, you're not abnormal because you taller than everybody else, da 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 da. That wasn't said, not because I'm sure my mom wouldn't have said it. She just didn't know, know to say it because that's not where she was. So, for a long time I went through school thinking that, you know, I wasn't good enough. That what I was naturally born with, meaning height, you can't help your height. I can help that
That
I
you
was
definitely can't help.
tall, a taller kid.
Hmm.
I felt like, oh my God, this is bad. So that I kept, looking at situations that reinforced that thought of being tall is bad. And we do that a lot. We do that with a lot of things. And even when it's pointed out, it's still very hard to let the story go.
It is.
It's very hard to let the story go.
It's an ongoing process to me on letting a lot of stories go that we have been raised in, or different thought processes that you have of yourself. And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, a lot of a majority of the time is not for your best being.
It's not.
They're
It's not.
usually negative thoughts instead of positive thoughts of yourself. That's the
It,
sad thing about it.
and what's so crazy is a lot of times when people have positive thoughts about themselves, maybe positive thoughts about the way they look or an accomplishment, it feels uncomfortable sometimes to have a positive thought about yourself
Hmm. I
because
agree
we're
with you
so
on that.
conditioned to wallow in the negative, and we're so conditioned to put ourselves down, especially in the culture that Vanita and I reside in. And when I say the culture, I mean the racial demographic that we're in, that she and I reside in. Because unfortunately, we come from a culture that marinates in low vibration, low self worth,
Yeah,
not feeling good enough. You know, it's
unfortunately.
a culture that um, it tells the people inside of it that there's another race of people that are supreme over you. That these
Hmm.
people are actively trying to hold you down. These people are actively evil, and it's kind of
Yeah.
it's bred into the collective of this culture. It's been bred for so long that to transcend the story, people almost feel like you're a traitor if you
They do.
say well, I don't feel like there's a race or people or anybody that is supreme over me. You may feel that way, but I don't feel that way. The culture that we're in, this community, they feel like you're a traitor for not feeling like you have anybody or anything holding you down because
That's true.
the story is so prevalent. It's almost part of the cultural identity, right? They want you to stay. It's almost like a comfort, I think. It's like, no, no, no,
I
no, no.
think it is. I think it's a comfort space that
I
everybody
do.
wants to stay in. I think it's a fear of the unknown a little bit. And then I also think it is if it's brought up to them, they tend to deny or be like, that's not so. And I think that is some ego or pride. Like,
It
that you
is.
don't want to admit that you feel this particular type of way about yourself, but you don't even have to say it out your mouth that you feel that particular type of way about yourself and it's negative because you show it in your actions and your energy. And that's what people don't realize.
They don't. They don't realize it. And even the story, check this T. The story that this community, and it's spearheaded by the males, because they're really ingrained in this story. There is a race of people that are supreme over you, and these people are out to get you and hold you down.
That's
This
true.
story is embedded to them as little boys,
Hmm.
and it's told over and over, generation after generation after generation. So you have a collective of people believing this one thing, right? So what is the
Hmm.
universe going to do?
Supply that to the collective.
That's what happens. It reflects.
Exactly what you feel and you think in your mind is what you mirror back to yourself. You just put a mirror in front of yourself, and that's exactly what you get back.
That's what's happening. That's what, which is so unfortunate,
It is.
because I understand why there's a refusal to let go of the story, because the story that there is a supreme being over us, or there's a supreme race that's doing all these things so you can't get ahead and all of these things, the story is actually a comfort, because if they let go of the story, if the culture lets go of the story and says, well, there is nobody supreme over me, right? There is nothing
Hmm.
holding me back. I can achieve and do whatever I want. I can create the life that I dream of. Then that means you're going to have to produce, right?
You got to look at self. Yep. You would have to look at and work on self instead of blaming it on someone else.
And that's just something they're not willing to do. So the story is a
Yep.
comfort. Because even when you point it out and say, well, why don't you just let go of the story and try something? Oh, no, 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 da, 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 and they'll blame it on, well, no, it's the case. And they're doing this and they're doing that, because it keeps them from having to use the mind.
Hmm.
And the reason that is because a lot of men, particularly in this culture that we're in, they didn't have anybody to validate them and to tell them that they are good enough, that they are smart enough, that they can achieve great things, that they
Hmm.
can become whatever they want to become. Because usually for men, that's instilled by another male, right? Because the mama
Yeah.
can only, say and do so much. But it's when another man comes in, particularly when you're of a younger age for boys, it really gives them the self-esteem that they need. So we have a collective of males who never had that. So they don't think that they're smart. They don't think that they can really achieve what some of their peers of other cultures have achieved. So what they do, instead of just stepping out, letting the story go and stepping out, they just hold on to the story.
Hmm.
So that's what they do. That's what we do on a cultural basis, but on an individual basis, we do that also. We'll get on social media, we'll look at other people's lives, we'll look at other people's achievements, we'll look at other people's houses and cars, and then we'll start making a comparison and we'll say, well, I can't do that because see, they had rich parents. Or I can't do that because I mean I can achieve that. She wouldn't be able to achieve that either if she didn't look like that. Or he wouldn't be able to achieve that either if he had a daddy in the house. Or whatever the situation may be. And what hey and what it does is it reinforces what we've already been thinking about ourselves. So
Hmm.
what happens is you just be stuck. There's no
That's right.
growth. There's no evolution, right? Because again, whatever you believe, the universe is going to reflect back to you. So if you're stuck in
Exactly.
a victim story, if you're stuck in the story, The universe can't do nothing but give you more of the story you're telling yourself.
And
Whatever
here's the
that may
thing,
be.
you're really not stuck. You're not stuck.
No one is.
You simply have to change your thought process. Choose to switch that I'm not smart to I am smart, and keep reassuring that over and over, and take steps on a day-to-day basis within your life to ensure that that becomes your new reality, because those are the steps that I took.
You gotta like
So
you said.
yeah, the back in the day, I'm not smart, you can't even try to tell me that now.
Real talk.
Because you have to work on changing the thought process. And my thought process in it was, well, if I can change the thought process, I don't really have nothing to lose, because I seem like I'm losing right now, thinking that I'm not smart. So why not try something new?
That's what I don't understand about the collective of males in our community. Holding on to the story hasn't really advanced any of them. They're kind of still stuck in if you want a certain position in society, you have to be fearless. The reason
You do.
those the reason those who run the world is because they're fearless. They will come into another man's country and take it over.
Like it's nothing. And that's because they have the confidence that they can do that. They may not even have one idea how they about to go about this, but what they do know is they about to take over your country.
They're fearless. That's the difference. There is no story. They
No, it's
stand on
just their
business.
thought process. It's just a thought process, period, point blank.
And because there has been so much fear passed down from generation to generation to generation, I think a lot of the men in our culture just don't even know how to let go of the story. Because again, the story has been a comfort. Just like me telling, it took me a minute to let go of I don't know if tall is a good thing. I don't know if tall was a good thing for a long time. So it was reflecting back to me that tall ain't a good thing, tall ain't a good thing, until I decided to embrace my height. For whatever reason, whatever happened for me to decide to embrace my height, I decided to embrace my height and start telling myself that being tall is a good thing. Being tall is special. That being an individual is special. That no, you don't want to be a regular height like most women are, because then you're gonna fit it, you're gonna blend in with the crowd. You don't want to blend in with the crowd, because leaders and greatness, you have to be an individual in order to achieve that. All leaders
That's a fact.
stand in their individuality. They don't hide in the group, right?
Exactly. Blend in.
They don't blend into the group. You have to embrace your individuality. And because we live in a society that shuns people who really want to walk in their individuality, is particularly in this culture that Vanita and I come from, you can't even vote a different way. Act like you want to vote for Trump if you want to. You
Hmm.
better not say that shit out loud,
Hmm.
because because it's a group think mentality, the group will throw stones at you, and they'll feel like you're a traitor, because
They do.
this group of people do not believe in individuality.
Not at all.
They find comfort in the group. They find comfort in the story of we were uh we were slaves, and this and this and this, and then we had to do all these things, so we need to stick together. And it's like, well, I don't feel like I need to stick with y'all. I want to go over here and do this. No, how dare you? No, no, no. And they'll try to pull you back to the group when
They literally do.
God might be telling you, no, 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 no. That what they got going on ain't got shit to do with you.
That way.
You need to go that way. And then you're in conflict because, and this happened, like I said on Facebook yesterday, this happens a lot with men. They can't even, men feel like they can't even wear a certain color because they're so afraid to be stoned by the group, by their peers.
Men won't even get a girl that they really, really like because she don't look quote unquote up to par. So they feel like they can't bring her around they homeboys or they family members.
They
That's
want
how
to,
deep it is for them.
yes, they want approval from the group because they're so afraid that the group will shun them. They're so afraid that the group will say that they're not good enough. And again,
Yes.
that comes from fear. That comes from, I don't know if it's fear of being left alone, or fear that you're not going to be loved, fear you're not going to be accepted. So you do things and you make choices to please the group that may not even be what you need, want, or should be doing. Your pot of gold might be over there, but you so concerned about what the group gonna say, you not even gonna do what a lot of times God is directing and telling you to do. Again, it takes a different type of fearlessness to walk in your individuality.
It does.
Even me, the decision not to have kids. Do you know how much pushback I got from the group? From the group, my culture. Now, mind you, they never said they never said to me, "Well, when are you gonna get married so you can have some kids?" That never even came out their mind. That didn't come out their mouth. What they said was, "When are you gonna have some kids?" The culture is so steeped in just have a baby willy nilly. It's such a cultural thing here that it doesn't even cross their mind that I don't want to set myself up for struggle. I don't want to be a single mama. That's
Mm.
not the route I want to take. Because the group story is has become being a single mother is just what it is. Anytime you try, and this is with a lot of things in this community, anytime you go against the toxicity and low vibration of this race, you are considered a traitor.
You are
It's
big time.
scary. It's scary. That's why you really have to be strong in your mind and know who you are as you maneuver, again, not only your cultural bullshit, your societal, because then there's, the societal aspect. Again, me deciding not to have kids is shunned in the entire society because the society thought, collective thought is, because there's a collective thought that's emanating. You're a woman, you should have children. But I don't want to have kids. No, 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 no. The system, the matrix says you're a woman, you should have kids. It doesn't serve me to have. Oh, no, 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 no. You know how many women folded to that pressure, Vanita?
Majority.
You know how many women folded to the
A ma-
societal pressure to have
majority.
children?
Majority of them have. I've heard several times from women, I don't believe in abortions. Why don't you believe in abortions? But
Religiously.
whenever I ask that question, they'll say religion, but then they won't even break down. Well, where does it say in the Bible that you gotta have kids? I don't know the Bible. So I'm like, does it say in there that you gotta have kids?
It doesn't say anywhere in the Bible that you must have children. I think because women unconsciously a lot of times just choose to do it without, particularly here, because we be
We're
choosing to
not
do
even
it
thinking.
without even a nuclear, not saying you have to have a nuclear family to do it. If you want to have kids, then have them, that's your choice. But the mere fact of, if you don't want to do it without that, if you want to go the opposite way that most of this culture does, it's considered out of the box. It's so normal to just go along with the crowd, any or the group, whatever group that they try to put you in. Anytime you go against it, it's how dare you. So on a
Mm.
societal level, it was, you know, how dare you? And then on the cultural level, meaning me not having kids, it was how dare you? It takes a lot of courage to make decisions that are outside of what the group wants you to do, whatever that group is. Which is why so many men can't even make the choice to date the woman they want to date, or make the choice to wear
Mhm.
the color they want to wear, or make the choice to do what they want to do, or say what they want to
Yep,
say, because they're so afraid of being stoned by their peers.
exactly.
It's scary, right? That's why you must be consciously aware of what you're telling yourself. Because if you're telling yourself that you must follow the group, that you must vote a certain way, or think a certain way, or make a certain decision for the group, it's going to backfire on your ass at the end of the day. Because let me tell you something that the group ain't going to do. If you have to go to court, the group ain't going to take that sentence with you.
If you got a fine that you got to pay, the collective ain't about to help you pay that fine. If you got
It's
kids
not.
to raise, the collective ain't coming in your house to help you raise them kids.
They not. They you somebody in the group win the lottery, they ain't giving you none of that money.
Oh, they so not giving you none of that money.
But yeah, and
They
still they want you.
disappear.
They hide.
The
You won't even know they
culture
got it.
hides. Yes, you won't even know because they hide on you.
Yeah, they still
That's
want you
fact.
to follow the group, right? Like you have to be conscious of what you're telling yourself and make sure you're not following some group think or some group thought process, and you're doing what's best for you,
What's the
whatever
benefit
that
out of
is.
following the group is what you have to ask yourself. Does that fall in line with what your own personal beliefs are?
Yes, it's
Do you
okay
know
to be,
what your own personal beliefs are?
it's okay to be an individual. Be fearless. I was saying when I was making posts on Facebook yesterday, I made a post about um, this one friend of mine. We've been friends for a long time, like 24 years. And every time this particular male is around other men, like if I have a party or a get together or something of that sort, and he's around, um, after the fact, other men always ask me about him. They'll like, say, that guy who's at your party, or that guy who's at your get together, or that guy such and so and so. What's up with him? And it's been happening for years. It's this one guy that other men always, she laughing because they asked her too.
That's true.
They
Yeah,
always
they do.
inquire about him. And it's been fascinating to me that this one male seems to garner the admiration of so many other men. And I'm like, well, what is this? What does he got that other men? Because when he around, he don't say or do much. He just be
I
being
was
himself.
That's it.
He just be being
Literally, he does
himself.
not say or do much at all. So it'd be so confusing. Like, of all people you picked out, okay.
And why? But it happens so much. I had to stop and analyze it. And what the conclusion I came to is what they admire about him is his fearlessness to be himself
Mhm.
authentically.
Yeah, he
Like he
literally
doesn't
runs his own race. He does not get in the he don't care about nothing that anybody else have going on. He
he
don't even
don't
see nobody.
he don't care about what the group say, what his boys say, what his friends
Nope.
say, what the males around him say. He do what he want to do. He dress how he want to dress. He go where he
Yep.
want to go. He say what he want to say, fearlessly.
He
And
do.
other men admire that because they wish they were brave enough to step outside of the group. That's why they admire him. Because in their mind, what their mind is telling them, if I step outside of the group, then I'm not going to be accepted. And the fear of not being accepted is rooted in fear. It's rooted in some type of fear of not being loved. That's what that means, right?
Yep.
So the core of that usually comes from low self-worth. right? Not being worthy of love. We come from a culture that's rooted in low self worth. And even when you do things or you try to do things and make choices for yourself that are the opposite of the low self worth, again, it makes people feel uncomfortable.
It
Like,
does.
it's almost like you can't even really love yourself out loud because everybody's thought processes about themselves are the opposite of loving ourselves. So when you see someone doing it, because we're playing all these stories of that are unloving, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not rich enough. Men be saying they're not tall enough, they be saying they broke, all these stories. What? They do say they're not tall enough.
Oh my God.
All of these stories that everybody are playing within their head, if you don't play that, if you go the opposite way, it's like, how dare you, right? If you've changed your frequency, if you've changed your story, wherever you changed it, it's almost like it makes people uncomfortable, right?
It does. It does.
The stories we tell ourselves, everybody, make sure it's positive because the universe is going to reflect back to you whatever you believe about it, whatever that may be. It's part of the reason the collective of males in this culture cannot get ahead. You refuse to let go of the story, right? He said, but it happened. That's what's going on. Why don't you let go of the story and see what happens? Just let go of the story. Don't believe that there's somebody supreme over you. That's not the creator. Don't believe that there's a male holding you down, right? You know what's so funny about the they holding us back, holding us down, and men don't even think about this. Men are asking us, the men in our culture are asking us, women, to have a certain amount of reverence and respect for them. However, what they're saying all the time is we're oppressed, right? So essentially, the self-proclaimed oppression that has been that they scream, y'all scream constantly, right?
Hmm.
What you're saying is there's another group of males who are holding us down, holding us back, got us locked the fuck up in jail. That's what that means. So you're asking us to overlook your self proclaimed oppression and somehow say, but we should revere you. Listen, you cannot be a victim and a king at the same time. You got to pick one. No, you can't. You cannot be a victim and a king at the same time.
No, that's true. That's real facts, real talk.
Y'all
That's
are
true.
confusing us, right? So if
That's
you're
true.
going, if you want us, if y'all want to treat us like kings, y'all got to let go of the story because kings aren't oppressed. They run the show.
They do.
They don't realize they're doing it though. That's the thing. They don't realize it. They just like, no, 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 we're oppressed, but still like treat us like kings. It's like, but you just said you was oppressed, right? That's part of the problem, fellas. That's why you're part of the problem why you're not getting the respect you want so bad. But you don't see it though. You
More
know,
than
or
anything,
yeah,
why do you have to look at too? Why do you need that respect so bad too?
that's a good question,
You
particularly
have to
for women.
respect yourself. You get respect when you respect yourself.
That's how it go. Again, the universe reflects back to you what you think about yourself. And
Period.
because they refuse to listen to anybody, the ego just has the collective of men in our group so trapped. It's so sad. It's sad.
Beyond.
It's sad. And again, I know it's again it's fear. And I don't know if it's fear of never feeling, I don't know if they don't feel safe or what it is, but there's definitely a refusal to let go of the story so they can fly.
I think some of it is ego too. They're trying to prove some crazy point that's not really there to prove, depending on the situation or scenario.
Absolutely. And we do that to ourselves too. We hold on to our own stories to try to it keeps us from flying. It keeps us to have for
It
it
does.
keeps us from having to create. Because if we let go of the story, like for example, there's a lot of, you know, us who went through traumatic experiences in childhood or even in adulthood, and we keep telling the story, if even if the story happened 20
Yeah.
years ago, we keep telling the story and giving the reason that I'm like this because this happened. I talk like this because that happened. I'm this way because this happened. And you keep on telling the story, and then you get comfortable in the story because that way you don't have to grow, you don't have to change, and you don't have to create. You just blame it on the story.
That is
So we
true.
do that on an individual level as well, right?
Most definitely. I know I definitely have.
I have to. You just stay in the story. It
Hmm.
keeps you safe. It's a comfort thing. But what it really is I don't believe I can create the life that I really want. I don't believe I can. So I'm gonna use this story as almost an excuse, even though you don't look at it as an excuse because it really did happen to you. But are you going to stay in what happened to you 20 years ago? Or are you going to let go, forgive, and tell yourself another story? Why don't we start telling ourselves happy stories? Why we always got to tell ourselves traumatic stories? Think about some
That's
of the
true.
happiest times in your life and then build off of those stories instead of building off the traumatic stories, right?
Hmm.
Change what you're telling yourself. Just change it. You would be surprised what will happen if you change the story. Benita and I, we always talk about how when I got to the current job that I'm at right now, it's a job that deals in money, lots of money.
Hmm.
And I was telling Benita some years ago, I said, Benita, we are losing in this culture. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, since I've started working at this particular place, I see a lot of people's checks, right? And a lot of people's tax money they wait on when they get their taxes every year is
Hmm.
a lot of people get paid every 2 weeks.
Hmm.
I said, people are not aware that the money is out there to be made, but because we don't think or we think we're at a cap, right? For whatever
Yep.
reason, you don't
Yep.
have the education, whatever
Yep.
the story is that we tell ourselves while we're capped at a certain amount of money, it kind of keeps us there. But
Hmm.
the reality is that I saw when I came into this job is money is really unlimited because I see it.
And yo, and I will tell you, when she told me the story, it changed my life because I
It
started
did.
changing my thought process. And then different jobs started coming around where I was like, oh, Oh,
I
for
remember
real?
telling Vanita, how much money do you want to make? And she gave us
Hmm.
the thing. And I said, you got to start telling yourself that.
Hmm.
You need to start telling yourself, my salary is going to be this.
Hmm.
This is the job. This is the money I want to make at my next job. This is the salary I deserve. There is no cap. I don't have to stop at $50,000, blah, 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 blah. Change your thought process because I told her it's out there. I told her I had to change mine, right? When I saw that I was limiting myself just by my thought process of
Hmm.
this is probably all you can make based on the level of education and experience that you have, but it
Hmm.
wasn't true. And I kid
That's
you
so
not,
false.
when Vanita and I changed our thought processes about our salary cap, we got the money we wanted.
Hmm. Hmm.
It showed up in the 3D. It was
Like nobody's business.
fascinating.
It is. It's the most fascinating thing. And I change my cap in my mind every year.
It,
Let's go.
see what happens when you let go of the story? Because it's a story of I'm only capped at this amount of money. A lot of people believe that. Or
They
there's
do.
a story we tell ourselves you got to go, there's certain jobs you do have to get an education. Like you can't go do surgery if you ain't went to medical school.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something
Exactly.
like that. But there are so many ways that the universe will line up for you to make the salary that you believe you deserve.
Exactly.
Because
It really
again,
is.
the universe reflects back to you whatever you believe. The brain believes whatever you tell it. Good, bad, and indifferent, it's going to believe that, whatever that may be.
That's real talk.
To see both of us be able to get the salary that we told the universe that we deserved,
It's the biggest blessing.
it's life changing
It
because
is.
it's
Oh
proof
my God.
that your thoughts become reality. Think about everything in your house, this microphone, this computer, even the internet. Think about who's thought of the internet.
Hey yo, that was ingenious. Whoever thought of it, however it came up, that was
That
hey,
is fascinating.
it is. It really is. That's quite incredible.
StreamYard that I'm processing, it came out of somebody's mind.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I'm gonna make an app where they can talk to each other anywhere in the world.
That I was about to say the dating apps is one of the biggest things too. It allows so much. It's crazy.
Imagine had someone said, internet, well, people can go on to get information. I don't believe I can do no shit like I can make no shit like
Mm.
that. I can create.
We wouldn't be here today.
Imagine if someone had a not believed the story that they could. We wouldn't even be talking here today.
It's real talk.
That's why it's so important to become aware of the story you're telling yourselves. I pray for the day, and I hope I see this before I leave this earth, whatever God has for me, that I see the men and I am in the collective in this community decide to let the story go.
That's real talk.
Because it'll be amazing what they'll be able to achieve if they simply let go of the thought that somebody is supreme over them. Just that one decision could change so much for them.
Nobody's controlling you. You are controlling you.
Have complete control. Because think about it. If that was the case, those who were able to transcend this collective thought of there's somebody or a thing or a group holding us down, they wouldn't have been able to transcend it at all if that was no one would.
That's true.
If that was the case, those people had to let go of the collective thought. Those men had to say, I don't believe that. I'm going to think another thought. I know I can get to the top. whatever their top is, financially, the top of their career, whatever. They had to let go of the thought that they couldn't, or somebody was keeping them from it or holding them back from it in order to transcend it. There had to be a fearlessness and a willingness to get out of the comfort of the story, right? But then underneath that, underneath the letting go, there had to be a belief that they could, right?
Mhm.
And that's the problem. It's the lack of belief in self. It ain't another group. It's the lack of belief in self. And that comes from tra- generations of passed down trauma and a lot of fatherlessness.
Yes.
So, in the psyche of the male, it's I can't. I can't. They won't let me. But really, what it is I don't believe I can. The ego ain't gonna let them say that. So, again, the comfort is in the story, unfortunately. But I pray that one day, and the beautiful thing is we're in the age of Aquarius. So things are changing and they're changing rapidly. There's a consciousness shift that is going on in the universe where God is requiring us to evolve, out of these type of low vibrational thought processes and to see ourselves for who we really are, and that's made in the image and likeness of God. If you're made in the image of God, then shouldn't you be able to create like that? If you're made in the image of God, why do you think another group can hold you down if you're made in
There's no
God's
way.
image, right? It's not
Because
embraced.
they fall under the same God.
They do. It's not embraced because the thought of you being as good as is something that this group in this culture just can't accept. A lot of people can't accept their greatness. Even me, I remember, like I told this story in a couple of other shows, 22 years ago, whenever it was, when God started revealing to me my purpose, or who I would become, who I was called to be, and all the things that would come with that calling, all the blessings that would come out of just simply walking in this purpose. I cried about it. And I started crying because I was like, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve all of those things you're showing me. That's how deep the unworthiness was rooted inside of my head. Was telling myself I wasn't worthy of God's goodness in my life, right? And although a lot of people aren't saying those words, that's ultimately what they are saying. You might not say the words, but your actions are showing the universe by staying, nestled into your group
Exactly.
because they're scared too. So everybody who's scared, they get together, and they kind of stay in that comfort zone. Fortune favors the bold. You got to step outside of the box, baby. The choice is yours. Are you going to be fearless and walk in your purpose and walk in your calling in spite of what the group may say, in spite of what your family may say, in spite of what society may say, in spite of what you might tell yourself?
Mm.
Are you fearless enough to let go of the story? It's a choice, right? Most people won't, they just won't. And I get it. I get it. You know, it ain't easy to stay.
Definitely get it. I was about to say it's
Yeah,
an uncomfortable space
it ain't
initially.
easy to
It
stand
definitely
alone.
is.
It ain't easy to stand alone because you probably will be ostracized and shunned
You
and
will. Most
picked
likely you
on
will.
and
Yeah.
all of these things. Everybody can't withstand that. You have to have a level of not caring about approval. Most people care about approval from their peers. I don't care about approval from my peers. So I can stand out and do what I need to do, right? But I had to get to this. I had to grow to this. It's a choice. It's a choice. What are you going to choose? Vanita could keep thinking that she wasn't smart, right? Could you not?
No, I could not. Now, I couldn't be where I am today with that thought process. That's for doggone sure.
It's all a choice. What are you going to choose, right? And if you choose to stay in a group, if you choose to continue to participate in group think, it's okay. It's
It
okay.
definitely is.
Yeah, it's
It's
okay.
not for everybody.
Don't feel bad. It's okay. The Matrix it got some steaks in it, some juicy
It
steaks.
does. It does.
The Matrix got some juicy steaks in it. A lot of
Yeah.
people want to stay in it. It's comfortable there. But again, fortune favors the bold. What are you gonna do? Let go of the story or stay in it. Those are the choices. I chose to let go of the story. It's working out for me brilliantly.
Same
Best
thing.
thing I could have did. I made more money. So many beautiful things have happened since I decided to let go of my own unworthiness story. I had an unworthiness story. I decided
It's
to
a
let
lot
go of my
more,
unworthiness story.
yeah, a lot less, if you will, bricks on your shoulder.
It is. It is. Only thing you gotta do is let it go. Your ego gonna try to hold on to it though.
It
Because
always
the
does.
ego doesn't want to die. The ego doesn't want you to evolve. The ego doesn't want you to transcend your cultural bullshit. So it's gonna try to keep you there. No, 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 no. You can't step outside the group. You can't do nothing different. They said you need to vote for the Biden. They said you need to live over here or work over there or do this or that. They. No, what do you want to do? You're an individual. God made you special for a reason. Walk in your individuality loud and proud. Be you loud and proud and unapologetically and see what happens. See how the universe will rise up and respond to your fearlessness. You have anything else, V? We at about an hour. And we'll keep you on tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to keep you on tonight. I think we kind of got the point across.
Yeah, I agree.
What story are you telling yourself? What story have you found comfort in that happened to you way back there? We in 2024. We're in 2024. You still holding on to that? Or do you want to live in the present and create your future based on the you of today? Not what happened to you 25 years ago, but the you of today. Choice is yours. All the people that you see who you're considered successful had to decide that they were going to leave the group and walk their own path. That's how they got there. Because the group won't let you evolve and transcend. Choice is yours. With that being said, I want to go ahead and close out today. Thank you for tuning in wherever you may be watching in the world. Again, we do this show every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Yeah, I think we're gonna do it next week. I think I might have a guest next week, but We'll see. I think it's gonna be at 6 o'clock though. So we'll be happy if you join us again next week. We love to have you again. If you are new, please subscribe because we are growing the channel and growing the podcast. And hit the notification bell because we do go live sometimes. We would love to have you. I hope you have a good rest of your week wherever you may be listening. If you're listening to the playback in the future, thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, wherever you, whatever you may be
Yeah.
doing. And yeah, we
Good
will
night.
we will see you all again next week.
Next week.
Have a good evening. Bye y'all.